Hi, Paul Blackburn here with what could be the most important 5 minutes of your entire life. Now, I know that that's a pretty bold call, but just hang in there for a second. What if it was possible for me to personally mentor you? And what if the cost of that mentoring was less than a cup of coffee a day? And what if my mentoring meant that your ability to reach your goals went through the roof? Where would you be personally in 12 months if I was on your team? Where would you be professionally if I was able to work closely with you for the next year or so? And what would have happened to your income during that time? Would you be surprised if you're infinitely happier, or would you just expect that to be part of the deal? And if I could keep you accountable to your word, would that make a fundamental difference in your life? If we were working together on your goals and targets, what would you be more confident of achieving? And who would you take with you on that journey? You see, my track record says that what you just imagined is merely the tip of the iceberg for my clients. The real question is, can I do that for you? And you know, the truth is we'd be getting ahead of ourselves answering that question without getting to know what it is that you'd be aiming at first. So here's what's going on at my end. I am way over capacity with personal coaching clients. At nearly 50 grand a year, believe it or not, there's a waiting list. So that rules that out. But I'm keen to set up a mastermind mentoring group that goes on to achieve the previously impossible for members of that group. If you'd like to be considered for membership of the boldest, most outrageous, most economical, most prodigious group I've ever run, then we'll have to get to know each other a whole lot better than we do now. The best way to do that is to spend a couple of days together at my expense. During that 2 days, I'll teach you everything I know about fundamentally, strategically, deliberately creating happiness. I call it the science of getting what you want, because most of us need to get enough money and get enough time and get enough success to be able to figure out what we really want after we've got all the boxes ticked. You see, the stuff that we want is really in the way of what we really want in terms of purpose in our life. So that's when life gets really extraordinary, is when you're able to tick off the boxes and say, okay, now what do I want to do? What's the possibility now? So the reality is, in my clinical work, I've learnt more in the last 6 months than I have in the past 27 years, all combined. In a nutshell, what that boils down to is that there are quite a small number of habits, personal and professional ones, which when mastered determine your results in all the other habits in your life. And these master habits are not well known in our culture. Sadly, they are even less well understood than they are known, and tragically, nobody's teaching them. And I mean nobody. So, I decided to put an end to that. I'm going to get them explained in simple, easy to understand, step-by-step techniques that will make anyone a master of their destiny. So if you're interested in having more energy in general, if you need to get on top of time in such a way that you end up with plenty of spare time, if you need to make the law of attraction work properly and constantly, if you'd like every relationship in your life to work better, more easily, more naturally, if you'd like permanent happiness to be your default emotion, if you can handle working smarter instead of harder, for much more money than ever, if you'd like to be able to make decisions, well, decisively, if you just plain want to have the mental edge, if you want success to be your middle name, then you'll want to be with me for that weekend where I explain how it all can be done. Once we have the material covered so that you understand it comprehensively and completely, then and only then we can discuss whether you and I would be a good fit in a mentoring, masterminding situation. Until then, it would all be a bit premature. So here's what's on the table. I'm actually offering you the opportunity to spend a weekend with me in Sydney where I pay the room rent and all those other costs. So you don't have to worry about it, you can just turn up. I'm offering it for free, but of course the usual caveat applies. And that usual caveat boils down to this. The seat is yours, but if you book it and fail to show up, well, we're going to hit your credit card with what we call a $100 "you give me a heap of grief" fee because you've taken up someone else's place. So back to the offer. It's a free workshop held on a Saturday and a Sunday in Sydney, because Sydney's the easiest place to get to. It's a once only offer. After that, when we've done all the teaching, we'll talk about maybe getting into my brand new mentoring mastermind group, but that'll be talked about later. So what's in the fine print? Well, basically the fine print says you have to be at the workshop to be eligible to get into the most economical, productive, outrageous concept I've ever been involved in. My brand new mastermind mentoring group. That's the fine print, really. So what are the details? Well, basically it boils down to this. Those 2 days are Saturday the 20th and Sunday the 21st of October 2012. It is a once only gig, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. on both of those days. You probably shouldn't plan too much for the Saturday night in case there's a whole bunch of us want to go out to dinner or something like that, but nothing's organised. We're operating in the central business district in Sydney, so find yourself accommodation that suits anywhere within a 1 or 2 kilometre radius of the centre of Sydney and you'll be fine. The venue will be advised when you get booked in. This is a case of first in, best dressed. The room has a capacity of 100 people. I believe we have 23 seats left, so it would be in your best interest to move quickly because we're pretty convinced that this gig is going to sell out. The way that you would do that is by giving us a call on 02 6247 8336. Remember, have your credit card in your hand so that we can take the grief fee should you fail to show up. And as I said before, we suspect this gig is going to sell out quickly, so that might be the reason why you would jump on the phone right now. I would love to see you there. In fact, I will see the 100 or so who do turn up. Bye for now.